What's up, Airsofters? In this video, we're going to be talking about using the quick change spring system on the EMG Sharps Bros AEGs. For this demonstration, we're going to be using the brand new EMG Sharps Bros Overthrow, which not only has a beautiful receiver, but also comes with the new Aries slim super high torque motor and slim motor grip. To give you an idea of how slim it really is, it's extremely comfortable. So to change the spring, if we were going to go between indoor and outdoor or a variety of different fields with different FPS limits, we'll need to change the spring. And we can do that without having to disassemble the AEG itself, unlike traditional AEG setups. So to do that, we're first going to need to remove the stock. And we can do that by pulling down on the most forward part of our stock, like so, and pulling that off. You will want to make sure that your battery connector is not jammed in either one of the two side battery storage places. You'll want to make sure that that's inside the buffer tube. So we'll pull down on the back of the stock and remove the stock and set that to the side. To gain access to the quick change spring guide, the removable plug to access that is inside the buffer tube. You've got two options. The more difficult being you can use a long-handled flathead screwdriver and send that down through the buffer tube and undo the cap that holds in the spring guide. Unfortunately, that means you'll also need a very long Allen wrench or hex key. So we're going to show you the easier way to do it, but equally as quick, arguably. To remove the buffer tube to gain access to that cap, you're going to need an AR tool or something like it, and then you will attach your or detach your locking ring for the buffer tube. Go ahead and spin that all the way back, and then move your sling mount plate away from the receiver, like so. This will allow you to spin the buffer tube off, and notice that the wires are moving slightly while you're spinning it. You'll just want to make sure that you don't have those wires bind on you. Now that we've got our buffer tube removed, you can see the wiring here for the AEG and the removable back cap. Now, this is a threaded cap that makes sure that the spring guide stays centered inside its channel in the gearbox. We'll need to first remove that with a flathead screwdriver. I recommend using the widest flathead you have available to you. That simply unthreads to the left, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey for all those unfamiliar. Once you have that removed, we can see the actual spring guide itself. You'll need a 6mm hex key or Allen key to release that. Simply insert that into the back of the spring guide, give it a slight press inwards, like so, and rotate it counterclockwise. Once you've done that, the spring pressure will push the spring guide out, and you can remove both the spring guide and the spring. At this time, we could replace this spring with another if we wanted to change the FPS, but since we're doing just a demonstration, I'll go ahead and put this spring back in. Once I've got the spring bottomed out at the front of the piston, simply reinsert the spring guide. I like to use the same Allen key as a tool to help me do that. It's difficult to see as my hand's in the way, but as you push it in, like so, you'll want to rotate as you release it to make sure that it sits back in place. Now that we've got the spring guide reinstalled, we can take our threaded cap and thread that back on. Making sure that it seats all the way against the gearbox. It doesn't have to be extremely tight, you just want to make sure that it bottoms out against the gearbox. And hand-tight pressure is fine. Once you've gotten that reinstalled, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our buffer tube by inserting the wiring first through the threaded portion, working it all the way up to the receiver, and then while the sling mount plate is against the locking collar, we're going to thread it back on. Again, making sure we're not getting any binding on our wiring. You may have to stop it before it gets very, very tight. Notice that's over tightened, so we back it off a little bit. Make sure that it's dead straight. and then reinsert our sling mount plate to the back of the receiver. Once we've done that, we can thread the collar back on while holding the sling mount in place. And just like that, we've reinstalled our buffer tube. Give it a quick tighten with that AR tool, like so, just so that it's nice and tight. Everything's centered. And then after tucking our wiring in, just so that we can get our stock on, put the stock on the first part of the way, pull down on the front, slide it all the way forward until you find your click. You've still got your multi-position adjustability, and of course, your battery access. So just like that, we've swapped the spring on our EMG Sharps Bros overthrow. The same process can be done on all of the EMG Sharps Bros AEGs. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.